I desperately wanted to be an actor from the time I was 10 years old, but I was so shy and so intimidated by the process.
What was the thing you wanted in acting?
I suppose to be transported to somehow or another to play these people who seem to have this great life.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of legal headache ahead for the Hackman family.
Last month, police found Hackman and his wife dead in their New Mexico home.
Another twist in the investigation into the tragic death of Oscar-winning actor Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy. Authorities sharing a new timeline, plus new details from the couple's wills, which could determine who inherits their estimated $80 million estate.
So when we retrieved the data from the cell phones, there was a determination that was made that Ms. Hackman had made a phone call on February 12th.
Now in question, the Hackmans' wills and beneficiaries. Today, their vast, estimated $80 million estate now in question. Hackman had 3 children from a previous marriage, a son, Christopher, now 65, and 2 daughters, Elizabeth and Leslie, now 62 and 58.
Gene Hackman's will said that all of his property, his estates, his trust, would go to his wife, Betsy. But because, according to reports, she passed away before him, his will would become null or void or even invalid.
Was there ever a moment when you said to yourself, well, I'm an actor, instead of, I want to be an actor?
Know that I've ever really found a time in my career where I really said that to myself. I am an actor. I still am saying I want to be an actor because I don't feel as if I've given that ultimate performance where I can actually say, yeah, that's it.
Eugene Allen Hackman was born in San Bernardino, California, in the US, and found himself on the path to becoming an actor after his father abandoned his family at age 13.
I've read that there was a sort of casual wave goodbye.
Yeah, I was down the street playing with some guys, and he drove by and kind of waved, and probably makes you a better actor. I don't know. You get in touch with your feelings, and I think the more that you can draw on that kind of thing, get something out of it.
Today, we're talking about something absolutely mind-blowing that's been keeping the internet buzzing. We're diving deep into Gene Hackman's latest news, the shocking discovery at his Santa Fe mansion, and the empire deception that came crashing down. That's right, folks. Gene Hackman, 2-time Academy Award winner, Hollywood legend, the man who dominated the screen for decades, was found dead alongside his wife Betsy Arakawa in their massive New Mexico estate. But this isn't just another sad celebrity passing. Oh no, this is so much more. What we're uncovering today is a story about money, power, and influence, and how they created an empire that ultimately collapsed under its own weight. We're talking about an $80 million fortune, political connections reaching the highest levels of government, and a man whose influence was so powerful that the FBI showed up within hours of his body being discovered. Look, I don't usually get this worked up, but when I started researching this Gene Hackman scandal update, my jaw literally hit the floor. This isn't just celebrity gossip. This is about a Hollywood legend who built walls so high to keep people out that they became the tomb that sealed him in. The most chilling part? The unsent letter was found beside his body. 5 simple words that tell us everything about how an empire of influence crumbles. Xena is locked. I'll explain what that means in a minute. But trust me, it's going to blow your mind. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and notification bell, because this story is wild, and you do not want to miss our upcoming episodes where we'll be exposing even more Hollywood secrets. So what exactly happened to Gene Hackman and his wife? Why was their $12 million mansion falling apart despite his massive fortune? And what secrets did the FBI rush to contain before they could leak to the public? Stay tuned, because we're about to break it all down. All right, let's rewind a bit for those who might not know the full Gene Hackman story. This man wasn't just an actor. He was Hollywood royalty. Born in 1930, Hackman rose from humble beginnings to become one of the most commanding forces in entertainment. We're talking about the man who played Popeye Doyle in The French Connection, Lex Luthor in the Superman films, and delivered countless other iconic performances. But Gene Hackman wasn't just collecting paychecks. He was building an empire. At his peak, he was commanding $8 to $10 million per film. But unlike other stars who blew their money on mansions and sports cars, Hackman was playing 4D chess with his finances. This man negotiated back-end deals that gave him ongoing profits from his films. He invested in real estate across 4 countries. He owned stakes in production companies, art collections worth millions, and had diversified investment portfolios that would make Wall Street executives jealous. By 2024, his estate was worth over $80 million. But here's where the story takes a dark turn. Around 2018, something started changing. Gene Hackman began retreating from public life. Not just a usual, I'm retiring, celebrity fade out. This was a calculated, systematic isolation. He fired a staff of 12 people. He cut ties with his longtime agents and attorneys. He installed military-grade security systems worth hundreds of thousands of dollars around his Santa Fe compound. And most tellingly, he began rejecting contact from former colleagues, friends, and even family members. Why? Because Gene Hackman was hiding something devastating. He was suffering from Alzheimer's disease. But unlike other celebrities who've been open about their diagnosis, Hackman, a man who built his career on projecting strength and control, couldn't bear to show weakness. Instead, he used his wealth and influence to create a fortress of solitude, a 20,000-square-foot adobe mansion sitting on 12 acres of New Mexico land, surrounded by security systems designed for billionaires and heads of state. This wasn't just a home. It was a physical manifestation of an empire of power, one that was slowly crumbling from within. So what exactly happened in those final months? Let me break down this Gene Hackman latest news that's sending shockwaves through Hollywood. By early 2024, the once immaculate mansion had fallen into shocking disrepair. Security cameras captured Betsy Arakawa, Hackman's wife of over 30 years, struggling to maintain their massive estate alone. The couple that once employed a staff of 12 was now trying to manage a property the size of a small hotel with no help whatsoever. Why no help? Because Gene Hackman's paranoia had reached extreme levels. Financial records showed he systematically eliminated every access point to their lives, firing staff, cutting professional ties, even installing $420,000 worth of medical equipment in their home so they wouldn't need to see doctors in person. Then disaster struck. In February 2024, Betsy contracted hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, a rare disease caused by exposure to rodent droppings. Yes, you heard that right. In a mansion worth millions, they had a rodent infestation because they'd fired their pest control services to maintain privacy. Betsy could have easily survived with proper medical attention. The couple had platinum health insurance and millions in the bank. But in the fortress they'd built, she couldn't get help. Phone records show she tried calling emergency services multiple times. But the calls failed because their signal booster had broken months earlier, a $400 repair that never happened despite accounts containing millions. On February 11th, Betsy was seen for the last time at a local farmer's market. She returned home and died alone in their East Wing master suite, surrounded by Persian rugs and original artwork worth more than most people make in a lifetime. The next day, Gene Hackman, now alone and confused due to advancing Alzheimer's, made one final attempt to call for help. The call connected for just a few seconds before disconnecting. The man whose voice once commanded film sets couldn't complete a simple phone call. For 2 weeks, no one checked on them. No staff noticed something was wrong. No friends were close enough to visit. The empire of isolation they'd built had become their tomb. When police finally conducted a welfare check on February 26th, they found both bodies. Gene Hackman was in his study, a room designed to project power, with a $120,000 custom desk and shelves lined with awards. In his hand was a haunting note. Xena is locked. Those words weren't just about their dog, who was found dead in a crate. They were the perfect metaphor for an empire that had trapped its creator. Gene Hackman had locked himself inside a prison of wealth and isolation, and in the end, couldn't find a key to escape. But the story doesn't end there. Within hours of the bodies being discovered, the FBI showed up in force. This wasn't standard procedure for celebrity deaths. This was about containing information that could potentially threaten powerful people throughout Hollywood and Washington. The reaction to Gene Hackman's death sent shockwaves through Hollywood and beyond. Fellow actors expressed shock not just at his passing, but at how completely he had vanished from their lives in recent years. Directors who had once considered him a close friend admitted they hadn't spoken to him in over a decade, not for lack of trying, but because Hackman had systematically cut them off. What's fascinating is how this Gene Hackman scandal update has completely transformed his legacy. People aren't just talking about his incredible performances anymore. They're discussing how wealth and fame can create dangerous isolation. As one industry insider told me, Gene spent his life building walls to keep people out, never realizing those walls would eventually keep help from getting in. The financial world has been equally stunned. Estate planners are now using the Hackman case as a cautionary tale about the dangers of extreme privacy. Several high-profile celebrities have reportedly revised their own estate plans after learning about what happened in that Santa Fe mansion, specifically adding provisions for cognitive decline and mandatory wellness checks. Even more telling, The FBI's involvement has sparked intense speculation about what exactly Hackman knew. Former agents have suggested that throughout his decades in Hollywood, Hackman had accumulated sensitive information about powerful figures, information that could potentially damage reputations or even lead to legal consequences. Sources close to the investigation revealed that a hidden safe room was discovered in the mansion, containing meticulously organized documents spanning 5 decades, notes from private conversations with political figures, photographs never released to the public, financial records detailing transactions that crossed ethical and potentially legal boundaries. This wasn't just a celebrity death. This was a collapse of an information empire. Gene Hackman hadn't just accumulated wealth, he had accumulated leverage. And in the aftermath of his death, powerful forces moved quickly to contain it. But perhaps the most heartbreaking commentary came from Hackman's daughter from his first marriage. After years of estrangement, she established the Hackman Connection Foundation, an organization specifically focused on combating isolation among aging individuals with significant resources. Her message was clear. What happened to her father wasn't just a personal tragedy. It was the inevitable result of systems that prioritize control over connection. What do you guys think? Could this tragedy have been prevented? Or was this the inevitable end for someone who valued privacy and control above all else? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Now let's talk about some absolutely mind-blowing details about Gene Hackman's empire that most people don't know. Did you know that Gene Hackman's security system was designed by the same firm that protects billionaires and heads of state? We're talking biometric authentication, military-grade surveillance technology, and custom-designed barriers that cost over $1.20 million to install. Talk about paranoia on another level. Here's another shocker. Financial records show that Hackman had 17 unused cell phones throughout his mansion. He kept buying new ones, but couldn't remember how to set them up as his Alzheimer's progressed. A man worth $80 million couldn't make a simple phone call because technology overwhelmed him. Gene Hackman's famous control over his career extended to his scripts too. Many people don't know that he was notorious for rewriting his own lines, sometimes entire scenes. Directors would joke that Hackman's version was often better than what they planned. This need for control wasn't just professional. It defined his entire approach to life. The mansion itself had some crazy features most people don't know about. It included attempt to control wine cellar housing vintages worth over $800,000, a private bar stocked with spirits so rare that collectors had offered six-figure sums for single bottles, and a custom screening room where Hackman reportedly never watched his own films. Perhaps the most chilling detail? According to sources close to the investigation, during his final days, security cameras capture Hackman wandering the darkened halls of his mansion, passing by phones without recognizing their utility, standing before smart home control panels without comprehending their function. He had technology worth millions at his fingertips, but couldn't remember how to use any of it. And here's the ultimate irony. In the year before his death, Gene Hackman donated $750,000 specifically for Alzheimer's research. He recognized the disease's devastating impacts, but couldn't apply that understanding to his own circumstances. He could help anonymous others, but couldn't allow that same help for himself. So what's the final word on this incredible Gene Hackman scandal update? What can we learn from the collapse of this Hollywood empire? The truth is both simple and devastating. Gene Hackman built an extraordinary life based on money, power, and influence. But in the end, those things couldn't save him. In fact, they may have accelerated his decline by creating conditions for extreme isolation. When those walls finally came crumbling down, it wasn't because the empire ran out of resources. It was because the connections that gave those resources meaning have been systematically severed. This story isn't just celebrity gossip. It's a warning about the dangers of prioritizing control over connection. It shows us that empires built exclusively on power contain the seeds of their own destruction. That no amount of money can substitute for community. That influence without purpose eventually becomes meaningless. As one Hollywood veteran said, Gene spent his life accumulating power to ensure no one could ever control him. The great tragedy is that he succeeded. So, what do you think about Gene Hackman's final chapter? Was his fate inevitable? Or could things have ended differently if he made different choices? What other celebrities do you think might be heading down similar paths of isolation? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this deep dive into Gene Hackman's latest news as fascinating as I did, please smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring that notification bell.